Let's chat about your new career. So I think you've been retired for 3 years now. 3 years.
That's right.
And you posted that you're making, like 700K a year and only working 20 hours a week. Sounds like a pretty good life. And I'm sure as a VP at Amazon, you're making, more. But, in hindsight, what are your reflections on these two careers? Like, do you kind of wish that you started this new path sooner, or what's your reflection?
Yeah, I've talked about taking risk. I was very risk averse to step away from my nice role as a vice president at Amazon. So I waited until I felt very confident that I could do that. I'm making money today. Technically, I don't need to. In other words, I do have enough that I feel I could live out my life quite comfortably without making more money. So the money, in a sense, is a side effect of what I do. People value it and are willing to give me money quite happily, so I accept it. Mm-hmm. But what I can say is, as much as I was happy at Amazon, I love what I do today. Because the benefit of running your own business, if people value what you do, is you can sculpt your business to doing kind of only what you want to do. And in a corporate world, you're still doing what other people want. At the end of the day, you may propose it, you may design it to some degree, but you're doing what Amazon needs and in Amazon's way. Whereas now I'm doing what Ethan needs in Ethan's way, and that's better.
Got it. Yeah. So even as a VP at Amazon, you couldn't just do the work that you love, right? You had to send like email updates and stuff or whatever you didn't like to do. Yeah.
And, Amazon, and I think not just Amazon, most high performance companies, even if you're doing the work you love, they're very high pressure because they sort of are designed to ask, can you do more with less? Can you do more with less? Is there a way to go faster, better? Because they have people paid to look at efficiency and to ask those questions. And so you will always have some of those pressures. And then it's also very rare, extremely rare, that what you're being asked to do for a company is exactly what you would do with your own life. I'm sure a few people find that, I don't know, but they have perfect alignment with the company direction. But most people, they're working in an area they find interesting, hopefully, and challenging. But it's not what they would do if they were billionaires and could go do whatever they wanted. It's just not.
Yeah.
And so if you can build your own business, though, you may be able to get closer to that. And in my case, I'm lucky enough to be doing what I would choose because my other option is don't do it. Like I don't have to.
Yeah, you can just be playing golf or something.
Yeah, I'm a skier. Yeah. So I could be skiing, I could be hiking, I could be traveling. But the thing about that's worth covering, those things are super pleasurable, but they don't have much impact or meaning. And in the end, there's plenty of stories of people with lots of money seeking lots of pleasure and ending up very unhappy because there's no depth to it. And so I say I don't have to do this work. I don't have to do it financially. I feel like I do have to do it to have self-respect, to believe that I'm contributing to the world.
What were some like key growth levers or moments in your 3-year journey to 700K? Like what were some things that really drove the growth?
Yeah, there were several. One of them clearly was I have a partner, an operating partner, Jason Jung, who found me. He was attracted by my content and he reached out and said, I think you're really underexploiting this content. Some other people have great newsletters, and I think your content would make a great newsletter. Can I work with you to create a newsletter? So we talked and built trust because I was entrusting him with my brand and that he would follow through. But we built that trust, and that was a huge lever because suddenly there was a second smart brain in the room. And in this case, it was someone that has nearly perfect alignment with me because there are thousands of creators, and he looked and said, your content is what I believe. It's the content I want to work with. And so of all the creators, he found someone that he was highly aligned with. And so that's probably the single biggest lever because he helped me both make a newsletter, and he also was part of figuring out that live courses would resonate with my audience as well as recorded courses. And so it sort of created both of those opportunities. The second big pillar was then, as I just kept posting consistently, LinkedIn noticed me. And so they reached out and invited me to a workshop on how to write better on the platform, how to be more effective and reach more people. And so these were small tweaks. It wasn't changing my core content, but it was sort of changing what I'll call the packaging or the window dressing. And that was very effective because it caused me to reach more people, which has always been my goal. So those are probably two really big levers.
Yeah. Cool. I guess the last question is, now that you had these two career paths, you teach a lot about advancing your career in a company, right? And like, I'm curious, like, but what about advancing your career publicly or like, having more optionality so that you don't just get burned by a layoff or something, like, do you have to be like an Amazon VP to do this stuff that we're doing? Or like, how do people get started with this? How do tech professionals get started with this stuff? Yeah.
Yeah. So I've become a huge advocate. If there's like one message I wish I could pound through people's brains, it's go build your network by sharing something you love. And I learned this at Twitch. You and I share Twitch. What Twitch taught me was there is a niche audience for every single person. And yet that niche audience, because the internet now has several billion people on it, can be quite large and powerful. So the example I talk about theoretically is if you think Wookiees from Star Trek are the coolest thing on earth, there's several thousand other people who love Wookiees and Wookiee culture just as much as you do. And you can find them and become their voice or talk to them. And when you need them, your fellow Wookiee lovers, they still have jobs. They still have other connections. They can come through for you. Now, if you think this is absurd, go to Twitch and see all the different niche communities and realize that whatever your passion is, share that. And you can collect other people who share it. And if you're giving to them and creating value for them and being their friends or enthusing with them or talking with them or somehow adding to that community, those people will line up behind you and support you when you need them. And I think every single person should be doing this. And I also think it's relatively easy because you don't have to use LinkedIn. You can use lots of different networks. And B, it doesn't have to be your work. It can be something else you love. Yeah. It's just a matter of choosing to build a network of people that share your passion.
Yeah. And the key word is like something you love, right? And like, from my experience, this stuff does take a couple of years to get off the ground. So I think the earlier you kind of start doing it, the better. Yeah.
Yeah. And the reason love is important is because it will take a couple years. You have to love it enough to do it for the long term. It has to be something that if you just calculate in your head and say, oh, I too should talk about Gen AI because it's hot. I don't really care about it, but like I'm going to be another Gen AI voice and try that you won't sustain. You won't see instant results and you'll get tired and lazy because that's human. I happen to love leadership theory and careers. And so talking about them every day, I have hundreds of posts partly written that like, I'll never get around to finishing them all because I can't post them fast enough. People can't read all of that.
Yeah.
But the love is boiling out of me faster than the opportunities to share it are there, right?
Yeah. Same thing for a company, man. Like you got to love climbing the ladder or you got to love going to the next level. Otherwise, it's hard to do it.
If you don't want it, someone else wants it more than you and they'll put in the effort because it's a role they can see themselves in and you just have a wish, not a true desire. Everyone wishes, whether they should or not, almost everyone wishes to be rich, for example.
Yeah.
But like some people wish to be rich and then they flip on cable and some people wish to be rich and they go start a company and those are different people.